In this video, we're going to be looking at a different way to find the distance between 2 points. So we're going to be focusing in on page 164 of your workbook. And if you remember, we did the first 4 problems the other day. So we're actually going to be working through 5 through 8 today. But before we get there, let's review really quickly what we talked about the other method we could use for finding the distance between 2 points. Okay, so if you look at right back at activity 3, this is what we filled in the other day. We had 2 points that were on the graph, okay, and I don't remember exactly where we put them, but something like that, I believe, okay? And they said find the distance between these 2 points. So we basically what we did was we created a right triangle out of these 2 points. And the distance between them was our hypotenuse, that was our C. And to figure out the lengths of the other 2 sides, all we had to do was count. So this vertical side was 2, the horizontal side was 3. And then we took these and plugged them into our Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, to solve it. So that's one way you can do this. Now, you won't always have graph paper to do this. So what we're going to do is look at a different way to solve these. So if I come back over to the practice page, down on number 5. Okay, they've just given you 2 points. There's no graph paper. You could make a graph if you wanted to, but again, may create more work for you than what you really need to do. So first of all, let me give you the formula, and you can write it over here to the side. The distance between these 2 points is the square root of all of this. First of all, you're going to take your 2x values and subtract them, square that, plus, then you're going to subtract your 2y values and square that. Okay, so here's our formula that we're going to use. So let's look at number 5. First of all, I need to take my 2x values. So square root x minus x. Remember, your first number is your x, your second number is your y. First number is x, second number is y. So we're going to take 2 minus a negative 3 squared plus, and then I'm going to do the y's, but you have to do the y's in the same order. So since I did the 2 first, I have to do the 1 first. 1 minus 6 squared. And then we just solve this. Well, this becomes, that minus a negative becomes 2 plus 3, which is 5. So 5 squared plus 1 minus 6 is negative 5, and negative 5 squared is what we have here. Okay, keep going. 5 squared is 25. Negative 5 squared is also 25. So we get the square root of 50. And we could pull up our calculator here to figure out what that would be. Oops. And we could round that to say 7.1. So the distance between these 2 points would be about 7.1. And that's your answer. Okay, let's look at number 6. We're going to do the same thing. Take the square root of all this. Subtract your x's. So negative 6 minus 2 squared. Plus, then subtract your y's. Negative 4 minus 2. And then square that. Parentheses always come first. So negative 6 minus 2 is negative 8 squared, plus negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6 squared. Negative 8 squared is 64. Negative 6 squared is 36. Add those two together. 64 and 36 is 100. And the square root of 100 is 10. So the distance between those 2 points would be 10. A couple things before we move on to number 7. I would highly encourage you to take this one step at a time. Okay, it's very easy with all the negatives that may be thrown in there to get mixed up, trying to do more than one thing at a time, more than one step at a time. So take it one step at a time. Don't forget to square these. That's a big mistake that's made. And then in the very end, you're taking the square root of what you get. All right, let's look at number 7. Okay, again, we're going to take the square root of all this. So subtract your x's. 1 minus 4 squared, plus, and then subtract your y's. Negative 7 minus a negative 5 squared. 1 minus 4 is negative 3, so we have negative 3 squared. And then this minus a negative again becomes plus. So negative 7 plus 5 would be negative 2. And we got to square that. Negative 3 squared is 9. Negative 2 squared is 4. Add those together and you get the square root of 13. And again, we could pull up our calculator, figure out what this would be as a decimal. 13 and then the square root of that, about 3.6. And there's our answer. Okay, and then finally, number 8. Again, same setup. So we're going to subtract our x's. So we have negative 9 minus a negative 5. We'll square that. Plus 3 minus a negative 8. And we'll square that. Negative 9, and then this minus a negative again becomes plus, so negative 9 plus 5 is negative 4 squared, plus 3 minus a negative 8 is 3 plus 8, and that's 11, so 11 squared. Negative 4 squared is 16. 11 squared is 121, so when you add those together, you get 137. And then we'll pull up our calculator. 137, take the square root of that. Looks like about 11.7 for the distance of that. Okay, so that's using what's called the distance formula. Now, it is totally up to you which method you use. If you would rather graph these 2 points, create the right triangle, and then do it that way, you can. Or if you just want to plug these numbers into the formula and work it out that way, you can. It's totally up to you which method you use. Okay, and then just a real quick review, we're going to do number 9. We did these in the last video also. But number 9 says the cross section of a wheelchair ramp is shown. Okay, so this is a ramp and we're looking at basically the side of it. Okay, does the ramp form a right triangle? So remember, they've given us all 3 sides and they're saying with these 3 sides, the length that they are they a right triangle? So keep in mind, your hypotenuse is your longest side. So that's 313. So I'm just going to plug my numbers into the formula. 25 squared plus 312 squared equals 313 squared. And then I'm just going to solve. 25 squared is 625. 312 squared. I'll pull up my calculator here. 312 squared is that big number. 97,344. And then 313 squared is that big number, 97,969. Okay, and again, we're seeing if these really truly are equal. So I'm going to add these two together and see what I get. So 625 plus 97,344. And you get 969. 97,969. So since those two are equal, then the answer to this question, does the ramp form a right triangle, would be yes. And here's the proof to back that up.